I'm excited to see how this works. I've never done anything like this, so we're gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's super easy. Zoom makes it super easy, dude.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna drive to New Jersey. No offense.
I do not blame you. You'd be here in the Planet Fitness and just be bad for everybody.
Dude, I might actually be taking a road trip out to like Boston. Gyms are surprisingly open out there.
That
So
would be cool.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
All right, my dog's asleep. Sweet.
We're at episode 14. Yeah, we're at 14. All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 14 of the Trainer Scoop, a podcast dedicated to helping individuals passionate about fitness improve in life and lifting. Today, I have a very, very good friend on the podcast, David Crowbar Corrigan.
What up?
Say what's up to the people, David.
What up? What up?
Thank you so much for coming on and making time, man. We've been talking about making this happen for a little bit, but I'm excited to pick your brain and make this one happen, get it out to the people. But just off the bat, you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how you got into lifting, what you're up to, all that good stuff?
Oh, damn. You hit me with that. Tell me about yourself. I thought I was like in an interview or something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I should have worn a suit and tie for this.
I like the shirt though.
Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, I guess tell me about yourself. I just graduated from Ohio State Law School, Moritz. So I am going to be hopefully passing the bar soon. Be taking that in about a month. So I've been kind of balancing my fitness and lifting with the bar and studying. It's actually been pretty easy. Just like a couple hours in the morning of bar stuff, hit the gym for a couple hours, and then spend the rest of the day studying.
Back-to-back bars.
Yeah, dude, right? It's so many jokes, and they've all been made.
I had to do it.
So I love it. I love the cheesy puns that just get thrown out ad nauseum. But yeah, otherwise I'm training for nationals right now. USPA drug tested nationals is in Columbus. I originally wasn't going to have an opportunity. So obviously, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we had my original schedule was going to be June 14th was supposed to be nationals. And so I spent the entire quarantine. I spent like $2,500 on weights, bars, racks. I was like the panic buyer, and I was ready to go on June 14th, and then they pushed it back. And not because they weren't actually required to. They were still going to be able to put the event on, but allegedly they just lost all the like the space that they were going to use, got triage space for the hospitals, and they're using the convention center actually as like a courthouse right now to promote social distancing. So like traffic court and like minor things like that. Okay. And so like the judge is like like 25 feet away, and then there's like like you and your defense counsel are like 6 feet away. Yeah, it's wild.
That'd be interesting.
And so they pushed back the nationals, which was unfortunate, but it's always just more time to train. And then they pushed back the bar from July 20th, 29th to September. And then they pushed back the bar again, actually, till October. So there's like this 3-month over the summer period where I wasn't going to be able to take the bar and do nationals, because the bar was on like September 9th and 10th, and I would have competed on September 7th. And there's no way I'm going testosterone fueled, like ripping ammonia and like, just slapping my back and my face to like put up max numbers and then be so sore like for the next 5 days that I couldn't even sit for the bar. Yeah, like I would physically just be like in pain, like crippled over. So I'm just going to do, but now the bar is in October. So I've got like a month, 6-week gap or so. So I'll be able to compete again. So I've got like an abbreviated 3-week prep.
Oh yeah.
So my nationals prep is going great.
That's awesome, man. So I know just from talking, you've competed in like a variety of strength sports. Do you want to talk a little bit about what all you've done, and then maybe why you chose to really pursue powerlifting to the next level?
Yeah, cool. So I guess like a little bit of background. I played football growing up, and I did track from like 7th, 8th grade through high school and actually into college. I did shot put and discus. And so strength sports were always kind of foundational. It was always in the background. It was supplementary. your squats and your deadlifts and your cleans, they translate really well to explosion and powerful sports and things like that. I was a lineman, right? Like obviously had to be bigger and stronger. And then I stopped competing in sports, but I still wanted to continue competing in some form of outlet. I found going to the gym really boring if it wasn't to get to some ultimate goal. If I wasn't pursuing something like that, I couldn't fathom just like grinding day in, day out, like doing the same things. Like there's no goal, there's no reason to do it. So then I kind of like had this like back and forth through undergrad. Like I didn't compete at all. I was actually like 100 pounds smaller in undergrad than I am now. Not quite 100, probably like 80, give or take, but still, I mean, fuck. And it wasn't until I actually graduated and I was doing Teach for America that I was like in the gym all the time. It was like an outlet. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm kind of strong. Like, let me kind of see how things go. So I did my first strongman competition in Pennsylvania. I flew up from Dallas to Pennsylvania. And it was like really addicting. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was sweet. And then over the next 2 or 3 years, I did probably 4 more strongman competitions. And then was realizing that those are really few and far between. And so, but to train for them at most commercial gyms, you're just doing bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, and variations of that. And I was getting a lot stronger at those. So I was like, you know what? I might as well, I want to continue to compete more frequently. Powerlifting was a way for me to do that. So
I see.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Kind of just a natural progression. Although I am trying to get back into strongman. I think that's fun. It is addicting.
Yeah, man. Strongman, just from the limited stuff that I've done, I just find it really fun, and it just feels cool to be doing that stuff, like loading the stones.
I don't know, man. Like I sometimes like I go back and forth, and sometimes like powerlifting, like yeah, it's like there's like strength involved, and there's a lot of technique involved, and a lot of people I think are able to find those powerlifting hacks, right? Like you see a guy who's maybe in like a 70 kilogram weight class, kind of whatever that is. And he just arches his back real bad.
Oh, yeah.
And like, he throws his arms out real wide and he does like a 3-inch range of motion on a bench press.
Got that cheater sumo stance.
Yeah, or like the sumo stand, stuff like that. Or like you see a guy like, on like a squat, like take it real wide or something like that. Or like, the guy who's able to like roll his whole body down. And, so sometimes that just like, sometimes I think with powerlifting, you're not necessarily finding out who's the strongest. You're finding out who's the best at those 3 techniques.
Yep.
And like, so those don't necessarily translate. Whereas like with strongman, sometimes I just feel like, yeah, like how many times can you pick up this car? We really don't care how you do it, but we care that you do it. And that's fascinating to me. I love that. And to me, that's like kind of like, that's like pure, it's raw. Like, I mean,
oh yeah,
you can't prepare for it. Like a lot of times, like you go into a meet for strongman and you've never actually done the event you're going to do.
Yeah, that's like, crazy. That's the crazy.
Like I pulled a fire truck. I don't know how to do that outside of like an event. I can't go train that. Or like, you're doing like a car deadlift. I can't just go pick up a car. Like right. I mean, I guess I could, but I might get a call from someone like
the police will roll up.
Yeah.
Maybe the fire department, you could borrow their fire truck in the
yeah. Like so that's kind of the way I see strongman. I won't stop powerlifting. It's fun. I like the kind of regularity of it. I've had a lot of opportunities for strongman, for powerlifting. But strongman is just, sometimes you roll up and you just have no idea what you're going to do. And it's just a blast to kind of figure it out on the fly. So,
right.
We'll see.
Dude, before I go on, I was hearing like one of my friends, I never actually did track, but I was hearing one of my friends who was a sprinter in track talk about it. And so he said like they were doing like some crazy sprint ladder and he was just exhausted. And he looks over and like the throwers are like grilling out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, I could see you doing that, man.
Yeah. Our so in high school, so I don't know why this is like, I tell everybody this because I got a shout out. My high school is a powerhouse for track and field. I went to Solon up in like, it's a suburb of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And for some strange reason, we have like, when I was there, we had like a 10-year consecutive dual meet victory, like
Wow.
win streak. We hadn't lost in like 10, 12 years at that point. I don't know if it's still going on, but I wouldn't be surprised. My year that I started, lettering for track was like 115 in the discus feet and like 40 in the shot put. My freshman year, we had like 4 or 5 guys go over that, which is like a normal lettering amount. My sophomore through junior year, or through senior year, we had like 25, 30 guys go over that. All-American was like 150 feet or something like that for the discus. We had 12 or 15 guys in 4 or 5 years go over that.
Damn.
And one of our
something in the water up there.
Yeah, it's wild. Like we had just a coach who just like some savant who knew what he was doing, could whisper in our ear. We had 2 kids. One kid he's throwing discus like professionally right now, and he's like one of the best throwers in America the last 10, 12 years. He's gonna go to fucking Tokyo. Well, was gonna go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then another guy was like on the cusp of potentially being able to qualify for Tokyo as well.
Right.
Dudes, same high school, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's wild.
Did you find like that competitive and almost like that just culture as a whole, did that help you and kind of like, was it formative for how you are now? Or
I mean, so like kind of like what you were saying, like especially high school track, but I found, so I competed at the D3 level. It was kind of a lot of just like facetiousness and dicking around, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
We worked hard. Like I remember my freshman year, I cleaned 300 for the first time. And I didn't touch that number for like 4 years after that.
Yeah.
Cause I stopped doing it and I stopped competing, and we worked really hard. We did the things we needed to do to succeed. But yeah, like our coach was like a hunter at high school, and he would bring like some grilled venison, and he'd like bring us some jerky and things like that. And then, yeah, like our other coach in college we'd be driving home. It's like the throwers would get there early and leave early. And on the way home, we'd be getting Zaxby's and like, Popeyes and all that stuff. And like, that was kind of just the way it was, like, obviously. Right. The sprinters are in the back, like having like a, side salad from Chick-fil-A, like a 30-piece nugget or some stuff. Yeah. Like, that's kind of, but I like that, man. Like, cause throwing to me is similar to the gym. Like, in the moment when you're actually competing, when you're actually out there, people are serious. There's like this like focus, but then as soon as you're done, hopefully you can kind of turn it off. Like,
yeah.
And I like that. I like the social aspect of the gym. I like the idea of, goofing around, having a social, environment, and being able to talk about things besides just like, hey, your angle at the arm is like that or this, or hey, your elbows are flaring on the bench, or your depth is bad. You want to be able to talk about that in the moment, but then after that, it's like, all right, like I'm a powerlifter. I'm sitting here 3 to 5 minutes between sets. Like, you got to talk about something,
right?
Like I'm throwing shot put. Like I can't throw every 10 seconds. Like I got to take a break. So, they're very similar in a way, and I like to approach them the same way. So
yeah, man. Yeah, that like bullshitting in between sets or in between throws, I'm sure that's one of my favorite parts of everything. So
it's important, man. Like, if you're not there to do that, like a little bit, it gets repetitive and boring and stressful. But like if you're there and you can have some fun and talk about whatever's on your mind or whatever you just want to make fun of, like that day, like, whatever it is, it makes the gym a little bit easier to digest on those days where you really don't feel like training.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite of the big 3? And then what's your favorite strongman event?
All right. Favorite of the big 3 right now is, I'm actually going to say squat. I was going to say bench because I think I'm best at bench. But squat is just a lot of fun. It's, to me, it's just like the quintessential lift, throw something on your back, squat down, pick it back up. But I'm nearing some really big milestones with my squat. And I was always really bad at it. My form was really trash at it. I was really actually pretty weak, like through high school and college. And so like now that my squat is like building up, it's kind of like this personal point of pride for me to have those
Right.
numbers. Bench is really, I'm really good at it, and it's like fun, but I can't say bench.
Yeah, no,
Strongman, I can tell you that my least favorite strongman event is a sandbag carry.
Why is that?
I broke 2 ribs doing it. Oh, hey, buddy. Sorry, my dog. You can hear my dog whining in the background. He's not getting enough attention.
Oh man, you gotta pat that good boy.
Rope toy here, hey, buddy.
I love it.
Knocked him right in the face by accident. I'm trying to get him to learn how to catch in the air, but he's just not great with it.
Process.
Yeah, it's a very long process. And so yeah, like I was doing Dallas's Strongest Man or Plano's Strongest Man, I forget which one, and we had the last event I was going into, I was winning by a large margin. Pretty much all I had to do is not take last in this event. And the event was a 600 or 650 pound, whatever it was, frame carry. They don't really tell you the numbers. You just kind of show up and do it. Like frame carry, it was like 60 feet. You drop the frame, you pick up like a 300-pound sandbag, and you run back with it. And I was feeling great. I burned through the frame carry. It's something I'm very good at. I pick up the sandbag and I'm holding it kind of like, I don't even know like what you would hold. Like you're just hugging it, I guess.
Yeah.
And my legs just like 20, 30 feet away, just jelloed out. Like I felt fine. All of a sudden I just lost it all. And I pretty much belly flopped onto the sandbag. And it just like the corner of it hits the ground and it just pops up and just like clips me in the rib cage. So I belly flop on like this, like, I mean, it's like a rock at that point. And so I couldn't breathe. I couldn't finish. So I went from like first place to third place or some shit. Like, yeah.
Oh man.
So not a fan of the sandbag.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Strongman events are fun because I've never really done an event twice.
True.
Like I've done like a log press multiple times, and like a deadlift multiple times, but I've never really done anything else like more than once.
Right.
So I guess log press or keg toss would be my 2 favorite.
Oh yeah, man. I've never done like something like a keg toss. And just correct me, is that the one where are you throwing that behind your back over?
For like a height? Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I was able to do those like, again, like where are you going to get like a loaded keg with like sand or something? Like, so
right.
Did both of those at the same meet actually, like threw like a 45-pound keg over like a 13-foot bar or something. Felt super cool.
That's pretty badass.
Log, I tried like a 315-pound log and the thing buried me.
Yeah, that's heavy. Overhead, that's very heavy.
Spending 20 seconds trying to get it to my shoulders and then getting it to like half an inch off my shoulders and then just dropping it.
Strongman's like unforgiving in that respect. Like you said, either you're getting injured in some capacity or the weight just gets super serious really quick.
Oh yeah. There's no, so Strongman's interesting. There's like 2 divisions that you can kind of compete in.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a novice division and then there's like your normal, like whatever your weight class. And so a lot of people will choose the novice because they're kind of scared of whatever the implements that they haven't trained with are. So people will choose to, okay, I've never deadlifted a car before, so I'll do that. It's like, all right, well, I get that to an extent. Your first or second meet, that's what it's for. Kind of like, so it tapers the weight 20, 30%. But then you've got guys like who are like really serious, like powerlifters or like really strong, who just essentially want to go in there and just rack up a trophy or something like that and say they won the event. And so they'll do, instead of like a truck deadlift, they'll do a car, or instead of a 300-pound log, they'll do a 240-pound log. And, so instead of pushing themselves, they're kind of just out there to headhunt trophies. And that kind of sucks. I've noticed that a lot. Like I stopped doing novice after my second competition. And actually had a conversation with my roommate the other day about like, if I went back to Strongman, it's been 3 years, like, should I go back to novice? And kind of both like, no, like you're stronger now. What's the difference? Like, just
right.
So, there's some issues with that. So like, I've always liked the heavier stuff. Like I flipped a 1,000-pound tire once. But that same competition, the novice would have been a 500-pound tire. Like that's a normal tire at a gym. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen a 1,000-pound tire before.
I haven't either. I've seen like 675 is the heaviest I've seen.
I flipped it one time in a minute. It took me a full minute to flip this motherfucker. So yeah, I don't know. And that was like really rewarding. So like I could do that. Like I flipped that, like, or I lifted the Denny stones. Like that's the kind of stuff
that's
that I
cool.
really, I'll look back and pride myself more on that than winning this random competition and not to be a pun man, but sandbagging it. So
Oh my gosh.
what
There it is. There it is. That's funny, man.
I may not be a dad, but my dog dad jokes are great.
Very true. Very true. It's good practice.
Yeah, right.
So walk me through, you were in Dallas, you said, teaching, and then had law school been in the back of your mind that whole time, or was that kind of like a decision that you came across?
So I graduated from Ohio State undergrad in 2015. And at that point I had a history degree, which was worthless. And I mean, like for all intents and purposes, I had no interest in being a historian.
Yeah.
But I liked history, and it gave me a lot of good like reading, writing, problem solving skills. And then
I bet that definitely came in handy for what you've been doing lately.
Yeah, honestly, like some of it has been very transferable. And then I had an education and a Russian minor.
Oh,
And so a friend of mine had done Teach for America. He really enjoyed his experience. And then he kind of put me in contact with one or two other people who had also done it, and they really enjoyed their experience. And so I was kind of thinking like, I always wanted to give back. I didn't really necessarily want to just like start some career immediately. But teaching, clearly I was an education minor, had always been kind of something that was interesting to me. I loved that educational giving back aspect of things. And so I decided to apply. I got accepted, and I was hoping to be a history teacher, and I got placed in math. So for 2 years, I taught high school math in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, so that was wild.
a big departure.
Yeah, so I guess they have like this this algorithm they use. I'm not sure if they still use it. It's been 5 years, but where they just kind of run the course load that you took in undergrad, and then decide like, okay, this person took enough math credits to be able to teach those math classes or whatever it was. And so I took Calc A, B, and BC in high school to get out of math in college.
Yeah.
That gave me like 8 math credits. And then when I went to Emory, I was required to take another math credit, and I took like a computer science, like real basic, like learning HTML. I know nothing about it. And that kind of math credit too. So it looks like I took like a ton of math credits compared to like the normal, like, whoever's applying. And so, yeah, I kind of screwed myself, I guess. And so, but I really liked math because it's really logic based. Like I taught geometry, algebra 1, and this remedial algebra class called math models. And it's problem solving, it's logic. I'm a very rational person, see a problem, steps to solve the problem. And it fit me really well. Also, some of my favorite teachers growing up were math teachers. So just kind of goofy, awkward, making bad jokes, bad math jokes, whatever it may be. So I thought it fit me pretty well. So
I can see it. I can see it for sure. And then was it like, that was a great experience. I want to continue my education.
So I guess your original question was like about going to law school. So it really wasn't on my mind. But then when I got there, I realized that I didn't think I could be a good teacher for the rest of my life.
Okay.
I didn't think that I could do what I was doing specifically. I don't think I could have made the differences that I wanted to make, things like that. And so ultimately I kind of realized like the things that drew me to teaching were like problem solving, like creativity, creative thought, new and novel ideas. Like teachers don't necessarily come in and teach, like they teach the same lesson like 8 times, 10 times in a row. And that's mind numbing sometimes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Especially, I hate to say it, making the same joke 10 times, kind of rough. Like, like I might do that with my friends inadvertently, but like, damn. But I think the real issue for me was teaching. I don't know if I could see myself doing that every day, but I liked so many aspects of it.
Yeah.
Like again, teachers come in, you don't know what's going to walk through the door. Like, you know, a kid could have a bad day and he's having a rough time, so he acts out. Or maybe, you know, a kid's going through a breakup, or they're doing a fire drill in school. There's like all these crazy things, and like you're reacting to the 30, 40 kids in your classroom in real time. And that was fascinating to me. Like, I really liked the idea that like no two people were the same, no 2 years would be the same. And so that kind of drew me, like, I realized like, okay, I like the writing, I like the research, I like the planning like that. And then I like the new and novel problems to solve. And so that kind of drew me to more of a legal area. So I applied, during my second year of Teach for America for law school. And I really enjoyed Teach for America. I thought I had a good experience. And then I've enjoyed law school tremendously as well. So.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Did you, just out of curiosity, did you find like balancing fitness and like law school was different than balancing like undergrad and lifting and stuff?
Yeah. So undergrad was a joke, man. Like, it
Right.
was very easy. Like, you have so much free time. So I was able to work sometimes 2 jobs in undergrad, do all my classes that I needed to do, and still find pretty regular times to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and then stay fit in other ways. You know, like intramural, bro, Alice, that's not for you.
Land the law down, another Coney.
He's out here trying to eat some shoes.
Oh man.
Big shoe guy. Ready to sock. So, you know, so like, you know, and like intramurals, like softball and flag football, those kinds of things, it was really easy to stay active. Plus, like, you know, something that people don't really talk about, especially on like a campus, like literally the size and like of like the physical size of Ohio State, you walk everywhere.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like maybe not now with these scooters, but like, you know, I remember just like, you know, living on like Indianola, walking, you know, 3/4 of a mile to my class, and then walking further another half mile to my next class.
Right.
And then walking to the gym, and then walking home. Like, I mean, you're like 3-4 miles at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, man, I walk to the kitchen. I get some food. Fucking quarantine is killing me. So yeah, I didn't find fitness because like I didn't find any of my classes to be too difficult. So fitness was always like a pretty easy thing to kind of accomplish for me. Teaching was very difficult. So I was working, you know, from 7:30, 7:45 in the morning until 5, 6 o'clock at night. And then I also was I coached a little bit of football and track.
Nice.
So I would often be, you know, gone until 7:30, 8, and then I'd be going to the gym at 8:30, and then grading papers until like midnight. So that was really tough. And then so I came back for law school, and like I'm good at school. Like and I don't want to be weird, but I'm pretty good at, like, I understand the pedagogical like reasons that teachers and professors will do certain things. I'm willing to put in the work on the forefront and kind of like allow that to build exponentially on the back end, like, you know, if you put in the work early. And so therefore, like, you know, I thought going from like a full-time plus job to like, you know, law school was like 6 to 8 hours of like work / class a day. It was a lot easier to kind of transition that way, which may be why I got more competitive while I was in law school.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's really cool for me to know, just because I feel like I got to know you in that, like, when I'd see you at the gym at Ohio State, kind of probably toward the later end of my college career, when you were in law school. So yeah, it's cool to see how that all built up, and it definitely makes sense. So you talked about like that kind of transitions of being more competitive. What were some of the experiences like, you know, you said USPA Nationals is the one. Yeah. So you've competed in one of those already, correct?
So I guess I could just run through the competitions I've done so I've only done a few powerlifting meets. My first one was in Dallas under the Southern Powerlifting Federation, SPF. I didn't really know anything about things, but I was going to the gym regularly. I was lifting regularly, and some friends were like, "Oh, you should go compete." So I went and competed, and man, I knew nothing. Like, I didn't have wrist straps. I didn't have knee sleeves. I had a belt, and that was and like some Chuck Taylors, and that was pretty much it.
All you need.
I showed up. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know how to pick my openers. I didn't know how to pick my seconds.
Hmm.
I didn't know cues. I thought you just lifted. Like
Right.
I didn't realize there was a pause. I didn't realize like they checked your depth. Like,
Yeah.
I really didn't know any of that. And so I got there and I didn't actually have knee sleeves or like knee, like the deadlifting socks.
Right. Right.
And so I had to tape my shins. They wouldn't let me compete without it. And
Whoa.
so I tape my shins together. And that was rough coming out on the back end.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was in 2016, like June or July. And I liked it. It was good. Like I squatted like 225 kilos or something like that, which was like just under 500.
Mm-hmm.
I benched, I think like 335, 345. And then I deadlifted, I think about the same, like probably about 225 or so. So just under 500. And then my first year at Ohio State, I kind of did the Ohio State like push-pull competition.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I kind of got into it. So I did 2018. So I guess like 2 years later I did my second like real meet. I did a USPA Love to Lift out in Dayton. I think I had like a 520 squat, like a 365 bench, and like probably about like a 520 deadlift as well, give or take. So nothing crazy. Those aren't particularly impressive numbers for me. And then I was approached when I was lifting by the head of the powerlifting team. He's like, "Hey, would love for you to come out." And I ended up joining USAPL instead. And I competed at like the collegiate regionals.
Yeah. Who was the head of the powerlifting club at the time?
What's that?
Who was the president at the time, or like the head of the club?
The coach is John Downing. He's my age. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a cool guy.
It's kind of weird. He's like, he teaches out in Reynoldsburg, and I'm like, dude, we're like the same age. He's a couple years older than me. And he's like, yeah, like you should come out and like be like a member. I was like, man, I've got like 6 months of eligibility left. Like you could be up until like 25. And I was like, all right, like fuck it, let's do it. And so I did in November or October of my second year, so like 2018. I won the collegiate. So I benched like 408. I squatted like 550 and I deadlifted like 545. So I was starting to get up there.
Yeah, and definitely progress.
So then I did the what are the names of the strength guys? I did their program for nationals. Yeah. And I actually didn't really like it. I thought it was more geared towards like your size guy, smaller, and then also maybe more like novice / intermediate lifters.
I see.
Because it was squat, bench, deadlift 3 times a week essentially. And that was really taxing on my body.
Right. When you're putting up those kinds of weights, that's high frequency.
I'm over 300 pounds. So like, I can't be squatting 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And benching too. Like I started having some shoulder issues and things. And then the deadlift was all like singles, and I don't really like singles on deadlift.
Yeah.
Like it was like 12 singles and be like at like 70% or something. So it's like a weird,
interesting.
A weird program for me, but I could see how it would work for someone who maybe is like their second or third meet and they're like 19 and their bodies can handle that.
Yeah.
And so I did collegiate nationals. I squatted like 565. I benched like 413 or whatever it is. And then I deadlifted actually a little less. I did lift like 540. And I was a little discouraged. I ended up going and I signed up for USPA again, just because they have more meets. So I said, fuck it, like more meets, more opportunities to compete. And then my roommate and I ran like a 12-week, 16-week, like modified conjugate program for the last meet, which was the last meet I've done. And he ended up deadlifting, like he like started like a 420 max. He deadlifted 500. And I deadlifted like 580, squatted 580 and benched 430. So I've been running that same program recently, and I'm hoping for nationals here to get 446.
There we go.
So yeah, those would be some nice fun round numbers.
Yeah, that'll be a nice total. Shout out to Robbie on his powerlifting meet as well.
Robert Gregg for his first and only.
He's DMing me as we speak.
Oh yeah. He just sent me like a history and memes picture. So kind of curious what this is. We send each other a lot of memes. He's like literally 10 feet from me and we're just sending each other memes.
I love it. Oh man. So on that note, like, did you find conjugate worked better for, I guess, like you as like a bigger dude, and then also for Robbie for his first meet? Would you say it like was pretty smooth?
So when I say modified conjugate,
Okay.
like I had read somewhere, and honestly, I don't know if this is even true. So like maybe I'm espousing some straight bullshit. It was kind of like this alternating between dynamic effort and maximum effort days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't really like doing partial reps, and I don't really like doing non-competition movements.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. I don't really particularly love SSB squats. I don't really like board benching. I probably should do more of it. But I like, if I'm going to do anything, I like to extend the range of motion,
Right.
or, just like add some other sort of resistance or, difficulty in such a way. So what I would do is, so my program goes 3 straight days, a day off, 3 straight days, a day off. So it's like an 8-day week.
Okay.
And so I guess 8-day like cycle, right?
Yeah.
I don't like using the word cycle because everybody just steroids. They're just like automatically like, oh, that motherfucker said cycle and he's big, so he must
Right.
right? Like it would be, so like we do, originally we went like max effort squat, dynamic effort bench, max effort deadlift, and then we would do the reciprocal on the next 3 days. But we realized that like taking a max effort like rest between bench wasn't really helping us, because like our issue was like, okay, the squats are hurting for deadlift, not for bench. We just do 3 straight max effort days, a day off, and 3 straight dynamic effort days, and just kind of like cycle between them. And then I'll run like large meso cycles. So like, I'll do like 4 of those, and then like a rest, like 2 or 3 days off, and then like maybe a deload, and then I'll start back up again. And I kind of play that by ear. But so typically the max effort days are just like singles, doubles, triples, sometimes quads or fives of just like straight like movement. And then the dynamic effort days are predominantly chains and bands, mostly bands. Love bands.
Yeah, man. So. Yeah, that's fun stuff. Did you feel like one had a better carryover, like the chains or bands? Did one have a better carryover to your lifts?
So honestly, the chains were hard because we couldn't find chains at a lot of gyms that were like the right like weight. So like a lot of times chains look really heavy, but they're not, or they don't look very heavy and they are. Or that, maybe a gym has like a chain for like you to throw on your neck when you do dips, but not for like, to connect to, or they don't have like the little collars to connect to it. So we quickly abandoned the idea of chains.
Okay.
And also I don't like the way they sound, honestly. They kind of sound like, just look at me in the gym, and I don't like that. I don't really particularly love that. So we switched to bands. I bought like a bunch of bands from Elite FTS and Rogue, and
nice.
And now I have like my own, like I take them to the gym with me, and they're really helpful because I can really modify what I do with them. Yeah. So like some days like we'll use like a thicker band and we'll do like just like stretch it out farther. Sometimes we'll take a thinner band and we'll like double wrap it, and we can really modify how we use those to accommodate the resistance for the day. And like moving, okay, if we do like a peg lower or a peg higher, how much is that going to affect us at the last 3 inches of the top? And that's helped tremendously. So the bands honestly have been, I think, the biggest reason for my increase in strength the last like year or so.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Like some people are so regimented on following a strict program that you almost kind of lose some of the fun and experimentation out of lifting, which I feel like for me at least, trying whether it be different types of resistance curves with the bands or, just different movements to make it more simple. Like that's just part of the most fun part. And it's cool to see that method for you guys was able to carry over to, progress on the total and everything as well.
Yeah. And we've been able to kind of play around too with like how we do things, like we don't have a deadlift platform with band pegs in it. So we just like loop them under our feet, or like, sometimes we'll find some dumbbells. and that's really been helpful too, because like it gives you a working day where you're really emphasizing like explosivity, and there's that accommodating resistance that goes with it is really important. Whereas like I feel like sometimes before when I was working on explosivity, like all right, you're working at like 50-60% of your max or your training max, whatever it is, and you're like, all right, 275 pounds, like I'm just throwing this around on a squat. That doesn't help me at all. Like I'm not really getting anything out of it. I'm actually probably more likely to hurt myself in that regard.
Right.
So really do like the bands, because they can really change the way you approach the lift. All of a sudden a 315-pound squat is 400, 500 at the top, and you're like, all right, like I have to throw a belt down. I can't just like, approach this like it's nothing. So it humbles you a little bit.
Oh yeah, man, that's a funny band story. So I lifted at a gym a couple years back, and it got to the point where like the bands were just getting ridiculous. Like I was a big fan of the bands, don't get me wrong, but it got to the point where we were looping like 3 red Elite FTS mini bands on each side of the deadlifts. I was like, I'm gonna head out,
bro.
Like it just got to the point where it was so ridiculous. There would be like it'd be like 315 on the bar. It'd be like it's about 800 at the top. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know how these bands actually work. I'm so bad at that. I can never tell like what a band is actually at the top.
Yeah.
Like trying to just kind of like pulling it down. Like, all right, I can tricep extension like 80 really easily. So like, what? All right, this must be about 80.
Close, right?
The worst is when you get a band on one side that's like old.
Oh yeah.
A relatively new one on the other side. You're just kind of like popping on one side. Like,
yeah, man. The gym that I like, the one that's closest to me, and it's like real near Trenton, New Jersey. They have like a hunting scale in there, so they just like loop it up, put the hook through.
That'd be really nice. Honestly.
Yeah. Some of them, like definitely, there's differences between the brands too, between like Elite FTS and Rogue. There's a little bit of difference.
And like no blue bands are gonna be exactly the same, or they start like peeling, and you're like, all right, how much does that affect this? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I eyeball it.
It's a tricky game, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
the bands are cool. So, are you running that same type of program for your peak in October?
Yeah. So, I've actually here. I got it written down. Got my handy dandy, super old notebook.
Nice.
So I started. So like I was able to know for certain that I was able to do nationals in like early August. So I had already signed up. I just maintained that because I wasn't going to get my money back. So I just figured, okay, I'll keep it just in case. So like August, like 1st or 2nd, they canceled the bar. Or postponed it. Sorry. So I knew for sure that was going to be it. So I always this is from like teaching, you go backwards programming or backwards planning, if you're familiar with that term.
Right. Okay. Right.
And so like, I figure out what my meet day is. I need to figure out what like that like week before taper needs to look like in order to be strong. Plug in the rest days. And then from there I can kind of figure out, okay, how many actual days do I have to work with? Cause it's like, if I've only got like 3 max out days or max effort, cycles, I don't want to do like, start at like 4x8 for a max effort day. I need to start low. I need to start like that 4x3 or 3x3. So I started training like for the peak on August 5th. I did 3 sets of 4 to 5 planned at like 80 to 83%. And that kind of just allows me, I like doing percentages. I don't particularly love like RPE.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at gauging it. Because for me, once I squat 400, it feels the same as 500.
Oh, really?
And then it's just like everything kind of does until I'm warmed up fully. Everything is hard. Yeah. And then it's just like, I don't think I can squat it until I squat it like 6 times or something, Right. So, and then once I kind of get that percentage, I try to keep that percentage about the same. So I think I ended up doing like 215 kilos for like a 3x5. So I was like, all right, I'll do that for bench. And so that was like 355.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's a little light for me. So I'll cranked that up to like 365, and I was still within that range.
Right.
So 3x4 to 5 max effort, 4x6 with bands for dynamic effort. I ended up running 4x5 because I overshot that at about 60-65%. Then the next week will be 3x3 at like 87% ish, and then some bands at 4x4, and then some max effort at like two doubles at like 90 to 95, and then some bands at 3x3 at like 75%. And then I'll hit my openers, and then I'll rest essentially for like a week.
Nice.
Do some light movement stuff just to get the blood flowing. So
Yeah. Hey, free program for you guys. Rewind that back, write it down.
I've got it all on like an Excel. I'll just hand that out if you really want it. It's not.
Yeah, that's cool to see how it'll all pan out. That's kind of similar to how I did on an Excel doc as well, just kind of like planning back. But man, talking about the percentages and everything, it gives me that itch because I've been working on like hypertrophy stuff for a couple months now. And
which is just like all how you feel that day, right? Like
like lots of like gauging, like you said, RPE, RIR. I'm looking forward to get back to the strength stuff though.
Yeah, we can't do that at Planet Fitness right now.
Oh man, Planet Fitness is killing me.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping either within a month or two the gym's open, or I'll just move. Like that's
just gonna pick up and move back to Ohio, man. I guess like
right. Shoot. But yeah, man, we'll definitely have to keep up with you as that like progression goes toward USPA Nationals, because I'd be it all pan out.
I'm hoping for some big numbers, and we'll see. I mean, again, it's nothing fancy. It's just a basic overload, and based off of what I've done before. I keep a journal with everything I do. So like, like during my training, I'm not necessarily running percentages, but like I hit like a month before what nationals was supposed to be, I hit like a 3x3 at 500 on squats. And so I was like, okay, like now I'm like 3x3. So I'm just going to figure out like about what 500 is, because I know I can do it, like I've done it. And we'll go from there. And sometimes too, like RPE, man, sometimes like, man, people lie to themselves with RPE.
Right.
Like they kind of just don't think they can do it. And it's like this mental game. Whereas like sometimes I'm like, all right, I'll put in like 83% or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I've got to hit like this 5-piece at this weight. And I look at it, I'm like, I can't do that. Like, like I do it, like, and it's always the same. Like, I'm like, no way I'm going to shave 20 pounds off that, but I'll try the first set and we'll see what happens. And I sink the first set, sink the second set. I'm like, all right, well, like, I probably could have done all this. So like, it's this mental game. And
oh yeah, definitely.
The RPE probably would have been the same if I would have shaved 10 or 15 pounds off, or at least it would have felt the same, and who knows what an RPE 10 is until you get there. And I don't think most people ever really get there.
Nah, man, definitely not.
They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the constitution to dig into that.
Right. Dude, I will say 2 experiences that have helped me gauge it. The first one, I actually was a part of a study at OSU, and they were trying to determine if the float tank therapy was like a legit modality of recovery, if it really offered any benefits.
Okay.
So what I would do was I would come in, take a blood sample so they could like judge the metabolites. I would do like a cognitive test, like one of those like iPad game type things.
Okay.
See like how quick I was at responding to different.
Yeah, I've seen the ads.
Yeah, dude, what are they called? They're always on like YouTube and commercials.
Yeah, some like neurological
Simplicity or something. I can't even remember. But and then I would jump on a force plate. But the next thing it was called like I can't even remember what it was called. I'm butchering this, but I had to do a 6x10 at 80% on squats, and it was just so bad.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it was honestly dumb.
Yeah.
I think I got like
maybe
2 sets.
One set of 10 at 80%.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like I could do 1 set probably. So I ended up, for like the 2 rounds that I did this, I ended up getting 2 sets, and then they just had to like slowly decrease the load by like 10 pounds per side, or 10 pounds total.
Yeah.
And then of course I would go through, get my blood drawn again, try to jump on the force plate, even though I couldn't really jump.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like.
Yeah, and then like you're just like wrecked. So you're messing these games up. It's the most frustrating thing.
Oh my
That
God.
was a good gauge of RPE and how far you can really take it.
Yeah, it really is mental, man. You see people in the gym and they only really try at one thing. They're kind of relying on their levers and their training. And then sometimes like when you're going for that max out, you really got to dig to this like layer underneath. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't train that, if you're not able to access that,
Yeah.
you're leaving a lot of weight.
That's
bar.
really valid point. Good advice for like if you're about to do your first meet or even your second meet. One thing that I ran into was I had never maxed out on all three on the same day. I'd always
Until my first day. Yeah.
And the first meet, like, after squats, I hit a big PR on squats, and then bench, I just didn't have it. Like I hit my opener luckily, and then I'd hit 275 in the gym so many times, but it just buried me on bench, and I was so upset. But
I think sometimes hitting PRs can be bad. Like,
yeah,
especially like if it's like a really easy, like, and you smoke it and you get too excited. Like, I mean, I won't say hitting PRs is bad. That was stupid. But like hitting, like you're like a reaction to a PR that's like unhinged. Like, I've seen somebody take like a PR for their second attempt and they get super excited and they smoke it, because maybe they're just their first 500 squat, but they really got 530 in them. And then they're so excited after that 500, they lose all focus.
Yeah.
And then they just forget about it. And then they, can't even handle 515 on their next one, or the wins out of the sails. So you got to find what works for you. Some people, they need to hype themselves up. Like I've got friends who I have to smack their face and smack their back, and it's stupid,
Right.
Like I've never liked that. But like, and then some people just like, it's like business as usual. It's like they're clocking in at an office. They just walk up to the bar, waltz on up and squat 600, 700, 800 pounds.
Yeah,
like it's
that
like,
silent killer.
like they're just photocopying some files for their boss or something. And then you get some guys who just like sit there and they kind of ruminate and they dig deep down and they're kind of in their own. And that's kind of how I am. I can't just like slap myself.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Dude, one time there's a gym in Grove City. It's called Lexon. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Yeah, it's kind of like an offshoot of Westside. Like all the guys that got tired of Louis Simmons shit just went to Lexon.
Okay.
And there's this guy, his name's Big Ed, and in the meet he squatted 795. But someone like smacked him, and then like the crowd didn't really like hype him up. He was like, "Let's go!" I mean, he's like, "Smack me with the chair," and it was like some WWE style. The dude smacked him in the back with the chair. I was like,
I couldn't do all that.
No, yeah, I would burn out like you were
me off for my attempt, like later. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's tough. You gotta find what works because there's that bell curve of like stress, anxiety. You gotta find where you fit on that before you're overstressed.
Right. Yeah, man. There's still so much psychology to meet day, so much that goes into it. But yeah, man, I'll be looking forward to seeing how it goes. They live stream that, correct?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll post something on.
Yeah. At the very least, we'll give you a like.
I'm hoping I can get at least like Robbie or someone to come down and like handle for me because right now with COVID they might have all these restrictions in place on spectators and I don't have a technical coach, so it might just be me out there this time. So we'll see.
Where is the meet?
It's in Columbus. The convention
okay.
So fortunate, yeah. I was really lucky that I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'll be interesting as well. I'm trying to think what I've seen. Like, of course, it's different because the what was it? Just like the Arnold meet back when the Arnold got canceled, but they still went on with the meet. Like, I feel like your handler was still able to come, but that might have even changed since.
Yeah, you're like direct guests and stuff like that, and it's all dependent. The Arnold brings in a lot more money and much more production value.
Yeah.
So kind of curious. I mean, the situation changes pretty frequently, so they can't even give us really information. But for me, it's not too stressful. Like, I think I compete on Labor Day, so like Robbie won't have an excuse to not come out.
We're calling him out. We're calling you out.
But if my girlfriend wanted to come or friends wanted to come, like I could just text them and they could show up if they had free time. Whereas like, you know, people maybe coming from out of state aren't sure if they should bring their wives or their girlfriends or their kids to watch them compete, which is hard because, you know, I understand both, you know, the meet directors can't, they have no idea. It's all up to the state officials, and the state officials don't know because it's kind of contingent on how many cases we have and whether or not the things are being used, like the, you know, warm-up rooms are being used for other purposes. And, you know, but then I also understand like the frustration because, you know, if you're coming up from Florida or California and you're trying to make an attempt here, it's tough. It's tough. It's hard on everybody.
Yeah.
They handled it really well. The meet directors, they ran the last meet that I did, the qualifier for it. They run out of Columbus Lifting Company.
Okay.
And Chico Gloin are unbelievable. They're both like really dedicated to the lifters. They care a lot about themselves, or not themselves. They care about themselves as part of like the lifting community rather than just themselves as like the be all end all mount directors. Like they are unbelievably like lifter first, lifter safety, lifter experience. And every event that I've seen them do has been without a hitch. So I'm really happy to be a part of something that they're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome to have, man.
Yeah. It's like rare because I've seen some really good meets before, and the meet directors are you know, selfless, and they care about like collegiate nationals that Downing put on was unreal. You know, like professional production value out of a guy who's just like, you know, a teacher doing this in his spare time. Like, you know, and then, you know, I've been to other meets where the directors are more concerned about them and their friends having a good time than the, you know, the guy who's spending $100 to be there and compete. So it's but Chico and Maggie do an unbelievably good job.
Yeah, man, kind of on that same topic with like the community, the lifters in mind. We see you sporting that Gym Collective shirt, which is something that, you know, I know a little bit about. We talked about it. I have one of the shirts as well. I decided to rep my bulk up shirt, but
something you need to do. So
right, I'm looking. It's making me look small. I promise. It's not my regular schmedium, but
schmedium, man. All right, I remember 8th grade. So
talk a little bit about the Gym Collective.
Yeah, so the Gym Collective is kind of a brainchild of mine right now. And there's kind of like three key parts to it. And so I guess to give you some background about where this idea comes from and what it is I travel a lot. My two big passions are traveling and lifting. And often they're very difficult to coincide. I've traveled to, you know, almost 30 countries. I've traveled to 30 plus states, like, and it's hard sometimes to find a gym that fits your needs while you're on the move. And so this was originally, my idea was like this kind of opportunity to bring together lifters and gyms that might not otherwise have the opportunity to meet. So like, you know, you're traveling and you can kind of like, you know, rather than like rely on like a Google search or like hoping somebody on Instagram shouted out a gym, you know, you can find this like gym collective, like, so you know exactly what kind of the gym it is because it's like for lifters by lifters kind of thing. So rather than relying on Yelp, when you Google like best gyms in Columbus, and it comes up with like Anytime Fitness, Powerhouse Downtown, or, you know, like Lifetime or LA Fitness, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with those gyms on like an objective basis, but on a subjective basis, you and I need something specific. I need a gym with a squat bar. I need a gym with a power rack that's not, you know, flimsy. I need a gym that has like a deadlift platform or has weights that go up to the certain amount. Like I was at a gym recently that I used every 45 in there. And you know, again, like it was all I had, it was all they had. And, you know, but, you know, if we can find a way to avoid those kind of weird situations where there's like a bull in a china shop kind of thing. And so that was kind of what I originally had seen, this like these ruminations in my mind, and like what I thought was like just a way, like, you know, a way to put gyms with gym goers that they could use it. Like, all right, you looking for like an MMA box? Are you looking for a powerlifting gym, a bodybuilding gym? Like, do you want a gym that has like a DEXA scan or a sauna? Like, do you really not give a shit? Do you really care about, like, you just want to go run on the treadmill and do some dumbbells? Like, great. Planet Fitness is right there. Anytime Fitness is right there. No problem. And then I started teaching. And so this idea has been like in my mind for a long time.
Okay.
When I was teaching, so my high school has an unbelievably, it's an affluent, predominantly affluent, predominantly white suburb of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And I taught in a lower income minority school in Dallas City schools.
Mm-hmm.
The access to fitness was stark.
Mm-hmm.
My gym had, at the time, 6 full squat racks. Okay. Since I've left, they have done a $200,000+ renovation on the gym. They've got, like, I don't know if it's rogue, but it's like that quality of, like,
Yeah.
it looks like a collegiate facility.
Right.
They've got like the squat racks with like the platforms built in. They've got the urethane dumbbells up to 100+ pounds. All the adjustable benches. They've got a reverse hyper. They've got specialty bars. They've got, it's a professional facility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the gym, and all sports can use it. Football uses it, but like while football's using it, men's and women's soccer's in there, girls tennis is in there, boys tennis is practicing on the courts, and they'll flip. It was accessible by teams and students alike for free. And it was really cool, like, to see people that you were like in high school with also lifting on the side. Well, I went to Dallas, and the gym had like a rickety old squat rack. It was like your grandfather's squat rack, like, thing was rusted over 6 times.
Yeah.
The barbells looked like they could have broken. They were so brittle. They had like, a handful of mismatched 45s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the boys' locker room. The gym was like in the boys' locker room for football. So only football ever touched these weights.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I remember the kids were trying to squat one time, and they were trying to squat like more than they really had. And they had to, like, they had to do like the whole like 35 on one side and like a 25 and a 10 on the other side.
Right. Right.
And like, that's the best they could have done. And so I realized that, like, one of the reasons that I like fitness is because it brings together people who maybe don't have another connection. I've met a lot of really great people over the years that I wouldn't have met but for the gym. And so, and a lot of people don't realize, like, okay, there's that guy who's huffing ammonia in the corner, squatting 550 pounds for reps. Oh, he's in law school, right? Like, and so there's this kind of cool experience that you get when it's all stripped down, and, that guy's not an accountant anymore. He's the guy in the corner doing curls, or, that woman's not a mother, what she is, but, she's over there doing her power cleans, and, who cares what they're doing outside of the gym? It's like who they are inside. It's fun. And so I realized that there was an opportunity for local gyms to give back to the community while also promoting themselves. It's pretty ubiquitous that right now, like, fitness culture in America is like, it permeates. Like, there's millions of apps and quotes, and gyms are everywhere. There's a gym for anything you want to do: rock climbing gyms, biking gyms, Peloton, all these different opportunities to get involved in fitness. But still, the ones that are dominating are the big box retailers, and they don't really give a shit about the gym goer or their community at large, right? They're just another national corporate chain. And that's all well and good. We need those people. We need those chains. But, there's people like those. Like, they like, okay, I can go into an LA Fitness in Columbus, Ohio, or I can go to an LA Fitness in Seattle, Washington, and it's the same experience, right?
Right.
But for other people who are maybe take their fitness more on just, instead of a healthiness or it's a lifestyle choice, right? And so, like, my personality is wrapped up in the gym kind of thing. And so I need something besides that. And so being able to experience those gym cultures and bolster each other's presence within the local community is really important. So I guess that's kind of the background about how this idea formed. And then what the idea is actually is a variety of intra-gym and community competitions put on by the various gyms around, it'll start in Columbus, that will benefit maybe people who don't have the same access to the fitness that I was fortunate enough, and maybe you were fortunate enough to have.
Yeah, I
I
like
don't know enough about your high school or anything, and whatever, but that many of us were fortunate enough to have. And so the goal for me would be to say, okay, first off, we're putting together events, because together as a gym, as like local gyms in the area, we are stronger together than like competing against one another. So like maybe like offering guest passes at a discounted rate for people who are members of another local gym. Maybe offering competitions for like who's the strongest gym in Columbus. Like, is it Pinnacle? Is it Grandview Pro? Is it 614? Is it Fit 14? Is it Beyond Limits? Like, what is it, right? And then using some of the proceeds from these like competitions and events to then give back, to find a Columbus City school that maybe needs some barbells and weights, and working with, some of Rogue is headquartered in Columbus. Like, if we can work with some of these other organizations to then sponsor not only the event, but then the actual like facility giveaway, and like helping to bolster, like, shit, if we just give a bar away, like the bars my students were lifting at were dangerous.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. Like a Rogue power bar would be an investment for life at that gym,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And so then that would be the ultimate goal, is to then like lift local and like lift locally yourself up, and like lift the people around you up. And so that's kind of like the pairing of philanthropy and lifting. And then beyond that, also creating this conglomerate of small gyms, independent gym owners or small chains, that you can then access through this network that says, okay, like, I know that that's a gym collective, gym. That means that they care about their lifters. I'd rather lift there than big box chain when I'm on vacation, or, I'm on a road trip and I'm stopping by Denver, Colorado. I'm actually going to drive up to Boulder to lift at Boulder Lifting Company instead of Lifetime Fitness in Denver, or whatever it may be. So that's kind of the ultimate goal, is to provide ease of access for when you're traveling, ease of access for when you're in events and things like that, to bolster the lifting community locally, and then bolster the fitness community locally as well through giving back and charitable contributions.
Definitely, man. Yeah, there's a couple of things to unpack there that when you told me about this briefly on Instagram a couple months back, it was really captivating to me. And then hearing your entire vision for it and how the philanthropy really connects with it, it's awesome, man. It's like, I also enjoy checking out different gyms across the country. It's so cool to see like the work that gym owner put into making their spot unique, and also really good for the lifters there. I think like if you guys are ever traveling, make an effort, even if you're paying $5 more. Like, it's going to be such a cool experience. You're supporting someone's dreams, and you'll probably have a better experience as well. Going to those gyms.
100% agree. The money, honestly, like, I've actually probably paid less lifting at like local places than I have at like chain.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, like, half the time I walk in and you talk to the owner who's working the desk, or you're talking to the general manager or somebody who knows the owner or general manager. That person, you talk to them for 5-10 minutes, and you just like connect with that person. They're willing to help you out. Like, I'm a traveler, I'm passing through, I'm training for a reason. What's the guest pass? Oh, well, normally it's $15, but I'll throw it to you for 10, or shit, just come in for the day. Who cares? Just sign a waiver.
Yeah.
That's happened so many times to me. And I remember those people, and I remember those gyms, but it's never happened. That's never happened to me at a Lifetime.
No way.
Never once. Like, and it's always some high school kid or some college kid who's bored and slightly disinterested, who doesn't look like they work out themselves.
Right.
Who, if you asked them what the culture of their gym was, they couldn't even begin to describe it to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes all the difference. I've lifted at like 65 plus gyms internationally, 3 different continents. And I've had that, like, the less boxy commercial gym I go to, the better experience I have.
Yeah. I'll give it to you for 2 different ways, because this can be it's saying like what's the best one. That's extremely hard. But what's been one with like the best environment, and then one with like really cool equipment?
Okay. Let me think about like best environment here.
Yeah, 65 is a lot to go through.
Yeah. I'm going to shout out a couple Ohio gyms real quick, just because I've had the opportunity to lift at them more. There's this gym up in Bedford, Ohio, that I'd never actually lifted at before, and it's like literally like right next to my hometown, um, called King's Gym, and it was like always this powerlifting bodybuilding thing, and it's, and I went there for the first time this summer, actually, like right after lockdown ended and they were opening things back up, and great atmosphere. On the walls they had like t-shirts framed from every competition that they or one of their members has participated in for the last like 40 years. And there's like almost 100 t-shirts. Like, it's nuts. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, like the owner competed in this one, and like it's like bodybuilding world championships, or like bench press like 93 Belarus or something, and you're like, that's history, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And why I also shout that out is because they had the Rogue lever arms, which is to me still like the coolest piece of equipment that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the King's Gym was a great atmosphere, great environment. And then Old School Iron, also up in Cleveland,
Yeah.
has this unbelievably large warehouse that has, I mean, if we're going to be talking, it's like $250,000 plus worth of equipment easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've got 3 mono lifts. They've got like 4 platforms. They've got like, dumbbells up to like 150, 160, 170 pounds. Like, they've got anything that Westside makes or anything that like Elite FTS makes, they just go and buy one.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool experience. On a more, I guess, like traveling note, I had a great experience at this place called Boulder Lifting Company. I already shouted it out.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Boulder, my sister and I road tripped up there once, and we're doing some hiking in Rocky Mountain, and I wanted to get a lift in, because this was when I was training for a meet, and I emailed the guy, or I messaged him on Instagram or something. I asked him how I could get in. He just like pretty much took care of everything for me, like scheduled me. It was like a key fob entrance, and he was able to get me there. And it was like unbelievably incredible, like how he just like took the time out of his day to get me there. Cause it's a key fob. Like, there's no desk attendant, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a private facility. And they had like a really good powerlifting setup with just like a ton of just squat racks everywhere. Like, that was pretty much all it was, like squat rack and benches.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other coolest gym I've been at was, Doris Power Gym, Reykjavik, Iceland, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I lifted there, so that was really cool.
That's really cool. I never knew you went there.
What's that?
I never knew you went there.
Yeah. I was in Iceland, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm here. I'm gonna email their order, because I didn't know how to fucking figure it out. Like, I wasn't gonna message him, because I was like, he's not gonna respond, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I emailed their like order forms like on their website, and his dad emailed me back within like 20 minutes. And it was like, yeah, like, when do you want to come? Like, the gym's usually like not staffed. Like, I can come on by. So I showed up there. He was a little late, but like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And he opens the door for me. He's showing me around. There's like, World's Strongest Man trophy. Like, he's like hands me like a second place trophy to like hold, and I want a photo with it. There's like Iceland's like 8 or 10 strongest like Iceland's man. Like, and then he's like, all right, like, I gotta go. So like, you want to lift here, just like lock up when you're done. And I was like, this is
No
fucking
way.
nuts. And it was like just this really cool, like, you see that on Instagram, and you see that, like when you see these like famous gyms, like, it's kind of cool to actually be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So his was really cool.
Yeah, man. I've only seen that one on, like YouTube videos with him and Larry Wheels collabing. So that's really cool. It looks like it has some great equipment too.
Yeah, fantastic. It's all like Rogue sponsored and everything else.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice to be able to lift at a place like that. Maybe there's better equipment elsewhere, probably not, but like, he's got all the strongman stuff, and it's tough to beat, at a certain point, like 5'6", just like really strong Icelandic men just yelling at you in a language you don't understand.
So intense.
So, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and then like the second half with the philanthropy side, I feel like being in Columbus, it's like kind of like a hidden blessing for the gym collective, because like the gym culture in Columbus, I personally don't know. You would know better than I do, but I feel like it's one of the best cities in terms of great gyms. So many great gyms.
It's America's strongest city, and probably the strongest city in the world, I think.
Yeah.
You've got West Side here, which is, this like bastion of strength. You got Elite FTS like an hour down the road.
Yeah.
And the West Side like immigrants from that. And then you've got probably no shit 10 dedicated strongman powerlifter like or bodybuilding serious gyms in the area that like aren't just like turning people away. Like I hate gyms that you walk into and you just like see spit in the corner or something like those are disgusting. Like,
Right.
I like a clean environment that's like you can train seriously in. And I think that, like every gym in Columbus checks those boxes off.
Oh yeah.
I lifted at Metroflex in Arlington, which is like Ronnie Coleman's gym. I
Yeah.
don't know if he owns it, but like it's where he trained out of for a number of years. And there's just like a sea of just like rusted used dumbbells. Every bar is like bent to shit. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't lift here. It's
Right.
dangerous. I'm gonna get tetanus. I'm gonna lose a finger. Like,
Yeah.
I and so the gyms in Columbus are really, really cool. So it is a blessing to be in Ohio and then Columbus specifically. The Arnold Classic, hopefully continued on. Home of Rogue Fitness, we'll claim Elite FTS, I guess.
Right. Yeah, man. It's cool. And I think like the competitions between those gyms, like whenever that happens, that would be really cool, like battling it out. I don't know if anyone's gonna beat Joe Sullivan, but maybe if we just exclude him.
Yeah, but if we do it, if it's an aggregate, if it's about how much weight your gym can lift, who cares who your strongest person is? It matters about who your weakest person is.
True.
So and the culture that you can create within your gym to get people motivated to come out and lift and do those kinds of things. And actually the gym I lift at, Grandview Pro, just recently did like an ad hoc event. They've got a record board like most gyms, and they just invited a lot of people from all over the state to come in and try to take the record. And so Friday night they had, a food truck and they had beer and they had drinking and a DJ and some supplement shops and some apparel shops all there, hyping people up until way past sundown. It was a really cool experience. So
damn, that sounds awesome, man.
That's the kind of stuff that I think gyms should be doing way more often. I've got a buddy who used to be a trainer. He's now, management at an Anytime Fitness in Ohio. And, they're able to do mud stash runs and they're able to do like group weight loss goals and, group strength goals and these things. Cause like on a national scale to have that money, maybe my gym doesn't have that money on a national scale, but shit, the gyms in Ohio as a whole do, and we can really, if we work together, we can put on some really cool events and opportunities that maybe other people couldn't do.
Yeah, definitely, man. So is there any infrastructure behind Gym Collective right now? Like, I don't know if you're still doing the t-shirts or
so yeah, I've got some t-shirts that I made. But right now I'm kind of like on the bar. Yeah, it kind of hit like a whirlwind. Like I kind of started getting this off the ground and then all of a sudden the the fucking COVID hit and then so gyms were out of commission for 3-4 months. And then it became a real issue to even try to get it off the ground. But the way I see this progressing is just like I kind of want to host a big strength event in Columbus. And I've talked to the people at my gym and a couple other gyms in the area just to gauge some interest. And so the way it would work would be more just like I would approach the management of the gym and say, look, we're going to do this event. It's going to be an online competition, right? So I want to know the strongest gym in Columbus. And so, get your membership to enter. Okay. And by entering, all you have to do is post on your Instagram, a post with your gym as the location, and then tagging me with your best bench, squat, and deadlift from any week. Okay. From any day during the week. Okay. Yeah. And then I can then aggregate those scores and assign who has the strongest gym in Columbus. And then I plan on giving the strongest gym like a trophy and then some swag to the winning gym, which is great for them. They can advertise that. That's marketing for them. And there's some opportunities there. And that's also great for them because gyms want to actively promote their culture because that's what people gravitate to.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a potential new member of, not to be like a sorority, potential new member, um, you know, not to be like that, but like, you know, if I see that happening when I walk into a gym, like everybody's filming each other, like, oh, this is for this competition, or, oh, hey, we're doing a weight loss thing for February because like, you know, keep our goals going or whatever it may be. It's like, fuck, like that's like what we want to see, you know, and that's kind of like what we want to do.
Yeah.
And then so if every gym chipped in, you know, a small like, you know, entry fee or whatever it may be to then compete, um, I would use most of that money to then buy equipment for, you know, obviously offset, like pay for the trophies and things like that. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's how that would probably fundamentally work. But then, you know, use the residue. I don't need to make money. Like,
Yeah.
that's not why I'm doing this. Use whatever the residue is to buy gym equipment, whether it's just a barbell, a custom Zeus bar with the school's name on it,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's plates they need, and I could start working with athletic directors. So once the bar is over in October, I'll probably be looking to actually do an event.
Yeah.
And then maybe once, if a virtual event goes well, maybe doing one in person in the springtime or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think the bar with the school name on it can go so far. Like I feel like that's like almost like a sense of pride for kids. Like they would think that
Yeah.
would be cool.
So, you know, we were talking, I don't know if you're familiar, but Robbie and I and Matt Ladon just helped work on our old fraternity gym.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing some upgrades and some
Love what
changes.
you've done with the place. I was
What's
there about
that?
a month ago. I said I love what you've done with the place. I was there about a month ago.
Well, we're gonna be really, it's gonna be even more drastic, I think, soon.
Cool.
And it's just a matter of finding equipment that's in stock right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But so one of the things we want to do is create a barbell, like a SIGEP themed barbell,
Hmm.
that would hang in the gym and only be used for sound body max out events.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, kind of like a swagger stick
Yeah.
of sorts.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like when we were in high school, like our football team was massive, you know, 85, 86 guys. And, you know, we were all maxing out kind of at the same time. But like, if you're a team or you have a smaller gym or something like that, having that, okay, you can only use this bar in the weight room if you had a good day in practice and the coach tells you can.
Oh,
It's an
that's
incentive. Or, hey, we're going to use this bar to max out on. Everybody's going to use this bar for their squats, their benches, and their deadlifts,
mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And I think that creates like this cohesion. So it's like, man, like if this bar has been here since like, you know, 2020, and I'm a guy in 2040, you know, lifting with the same bar. I guess maybe not that old, but, you know, lifting with the same bar in 10 years. I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, that guy who went to the NFL from my school, he used this bar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's history and that's that culture that we're talking about. It's this
nice.
thing that you really can't identify, but it resonates with people on like this like spiritual level, and they can really say, wow, that's what I want to do. Like I want to use that. I want to be a part of this. And it's like, you know, it's like, why does Notre Dame, you know, slap the play like a champion today thing? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody else has done it. And it creates this incentive and this drive. And it's a tool that coaches can use. And I think that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
A reward mechanism or a culture mechanism. Obviously, I'm not going to care whatever they use it for. If they just want to use it as a bar, you know,
Right.
It's in their hands, but that's the goal.
Yeah. Do you follow Johnny Candido?
I know who he is. I don't know if I follow him, but you know,
Yeah.
I see him stuff pretty regularly.
Yeah. So I'll have to send you a video. When kind of the shutdown was at its peak, he had this thing called the 405 challenge.
Okay.
And he would, you know, everybody took 405 for as many reps as they could. I think Joe Sullivan won it with like 28 or something, or 30.
Like
I don't know.
squat or bench.
Squat. Yeah.
I was gonna say I could crank that out for 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had that, and then he would upload everybody's clips to Instagram, and then like the pool would vote, like, was that depth? Like,
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
it was
Okay.
like you qualified by getting majority's vote of like, were they good reps? It was
Yeah.
a 405 ATG challenge, so they had to be ATG, and
I like that. I'm gonna
yeah,
check
so
this out.
people voted, and then it was like, of the people that made it, of like, were these reps quality? Then it was like whoever had the most, and yeah, he repped out like crazy amount of
That's
reps at 405. But
that sounds about right though.
yeah, Yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where that'll go, because I think it's going to make waves in Columbus and then
I hope
nationwide
so.
down the
I
road.
Yeah, I hope so. And like these challenges like they're catching up, man. Like they're catching on and people enjoy them. People enjoy, like I was saying earlier, like it's not just about lifting. Like day in, day out grind is a grind if you don't have a goal. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so like that person who maybe just started working out 6 months ago can actually give themselves a reason to test themselves or to push their boundaries a little bit higher and to get the whole gym involved, you know? Like hitting a max out's great, but hitting a max out and then having people like, you know, slap your back or say they're proud of you or be stoked for you, that's better. You
Oh, yeah.
know, that's why we do it, you know?
Right.
Like it's internal and external. Like whoever says it's just internal is lying to you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that'd be sweet. I did a competition during quarantine actually. It was like the garage gym quarantine competition. So it's like just a various you know, squat, bench, deadlift, meet day, and you submitted it, and then the top prize, like, you know, people were just winning prizes just on a drawing. You
Yeah.
know, top lifters got a prize too, but you know, all these sponsors were like giving away just like $50, $60 of a t-shirt, a free bar here, you know, like some weight plates there. Like it was cool. It was fun to be around. It got me really active within, and I had a really good day of lifting as a result, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, just a little shout out. I gotta say this. I have a Rogue custom bar as well. Um,
Mm.
I don't know if you saw it at the gym there.
Yeah, I did.
It's I want to own a gym one day, and this is just kind of a cool thing that I thought of. But I want to do nothing but custom bars like that. It says so my bar says "Speak softly" on it, and then the big stick on the side, and which is Teddy Roosevelt's one of my favorite statesmen and probably the greatest president in the world. And it's kind of like a reminder, you know, stay humble. And I love Americana and I love Americana history. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would love to do a gym where all the bars have some sort of custom story
That
to
would
them.
be sweet.
So like, you know, a couple of my friends and I have all been shooting the shit about it. Like we want to make a Robert Oppenheimer bar. If you're unfamiliar, Robert Oppenheimer was on the Manhattan Project.
Yeah. What was the
And
quote?
his what's that?
Would there be a quote on that one?
His quote is, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." After he created the
Yeah.
bomb. And you know, there's some really cool things you can do with that. You know,
Yeah.
we have the Commodore Perry, "Don't give up the shit" bar, the tear down the wall, the Reagan bar. You know, there's some really cool things that you can make that just like, again, going to gym culture. Gym culture is so important, and I love the idea of like the little things that small gyms can do to make themselves stand out and
Yeah.
provide their members with a better experience.
Real quick, we're gonna trademark that. You know the the laws behind trademarking, because I don't want anyone to steal that from listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, man. I like it. That's
Yeah.
gonna be
Well, you
really
can't trademark the idea. I'll give it away. But that's the kind of stuff that I'd love to see more of, is like
yeah.
those little like nuanced things. Like I don't need to just see the same four quotes in the same picture. I love the picture, but the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conquer one,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cool. Like every gym in the world has this.
Oh,
Like so yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
yeah. That's awesome, dude. You got some cool things cooking up. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we talked about some great things in this episode. If you want, where can the people follow you and keep up with all the progress with the gym collective, with the bar even?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram is probably the only social media I really actively use. D Corrigan 68. Um, it's that one is just me mostly making really shitty travel jokes, and occasionally posting some stories of my dog. But big meet events and things like that I'll post. But I don't post daily training. My training's not that exciting or good to be posting daily pictures of.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other I have this Instagram called Wanderlifts, like Wanderlust but Wanderlifts, which is this essentially it was my brainchild originally, where I just traveled to different gyms, and every time I get an opportunity to go to a different gym or try a new fitness thing, I'll post it on there. So there's probably a couple dozen gyms that I've been able to work out at there and post them on, from like Soviet or not Soviet, but from Russia. I lifted at a few gyms all across Europe, Ireland, and a lot in America as well. One of the cooler gyms, maybe I didn't mention earlier, was Tulum Jungle Gym, which is like a gym where all the weights are just like, you know, like stones and wood and things like that. I was able to work out there with Robbie. And yeah, so just really cool experiences. You know, there's the Hydro Park in Ukraine, which like is just like this industrial like feeling outdoor gym where like everything's rusted and there's no padding on anything. And you know, those are the things I'm looking to do. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So definitely check them out at Wander Lifts. It's WANDER Lifts. And then once again, D Corrigan 68. Man, David, I really appreciate you coming on, man. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Easy to talk to guy for sure. And you got some great things going.
I've been called garrulous before, so.
You've been called what?
Garrulous. I'm talkative, so.
Oh. Hey, it's good for the podcast.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what's good for the podcast. Maybe I shouldn't have sworn so much.
I think I actually, like, in this podcast and the one I did before, I didn't let my personality come out enough, so it's fine. Like, I'm all for it. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you all for listening. And we will catch you in episode 15.
Hell yeah, brother. Thanks, man.